So what's Dark Gallifrey about? I don't really know. They haven't really been clear about it yet. The first, it's like a 24-part story, which is it was supposed to be 8 box sets, right? Eight 3-part box sets. But clearly, the coffers are not as good for Doctor Who fandom anymore, and so putting out $11 a month is easier than like $30 or $30 or $40 every couple of months, right? So we just had the first box set, which is I got the first one. I was very disappointed in. It was Morbius, right? It was about Morbius. Sam West playing Morbius, who was pretty darn good, I have to say. I was impressed with his take. He was also in the Paul McGann. I think it's in, they just came out recently. They put out the second season, which is like really worth getting. So, and it was like this really strange story set in like prehistory, just after Morbius's rebellion and civil war in Gallifrey, and you got like hear about hints of it, but it's all over, and Morbius has been banished, destroyed, gone away, and so it was this weird sailing ship through time, who were coming back from Karn, I think, and being invited back to Gallifrey. They were like ex-prisoners or something along those lines. So you had that going on, and then there was Morbius as an ethereal force. He still has a lot of followers. And, you get into a lot about how Morbius is a populist, right? And, oh, yeah, how terrible. I don't understand why it's a bad thing to have popular policies that people like as opposed to unpopular policies that people don't like. I don't get why being a populist is a bad thing. It's because people say are elitist. No, excuse me. If you want the barometer of right and wrong or anything, you go to the working classes, right? The working classes are always right? They are way smarter than the elitist cunts in London ever imagine. And they're always right? They can always smell a wrong and they can always smell a right. I just hope that that reform dominating in social media equals reform doing very well, right? I hope they at least beat the Tories. But by the way, if you're watching this in the future, this is election day. I'm recording this on. I hope they at least beat the Tories. But again, I'm always disappointed by these things, right? Always. Anyway, but I wasn't disappointed by this. So, Dark Gallifrey is kind of like a alternate reality Gallifrey, and so Morbius wasn't in the first episode. And the story kind of like built in the second. And by the time you got the third, you had Tom Baker's Fourth Doctor face off against this Morbius. And that was brilliant, right? It really built into a great crescendo. So I can see much more. These things are designed to be 3-part stories, which I'm really, which gives it, you get a much more meaty story with it, right? Is it essential for listening? No, not at all. Not at all. But I found it interesting listening, right? This one I found much better. This is the War Master. The biggest flaw with this one, no War Master. He's not Derek Jacobi. Not in this at all, right? Not in this at all. This should have really been called Bernie Summerfield rather than the War Master, because it's all about her. Essentially, if you listen to any of the range of Bernie Summerfield with David Warner's alternate Third Doctor, right? He first appeared in an excellent series they did called Unbound, where it was like alternate doctors. And it had Jeffrey Belden as the first Doctor who never left Gallifrey, and they brought him back for another one. And you had, this was an alternate third Doctor that arrived in 97 as opposed to 77. And David Tennant was in it as an evil unit corporal, captain, command. I can't remember, right? I can't remember. He was like the evil version of the Brigadier. So they did another one, and then they brought him back. And the interesting thing is he's Bernie Summerfield's companion rather than Bernie's is his companion. Because, again, I've been listening to Big Finish since they started, right? And so when they started, when they first came out with the Bernie Summerfield reign, I got it straight away because I thought, oh, I bet this is an audition piece for Doctor Who. And I was absolutely right? So, and it developed its own identity, and it's a very strong identity, right? I really like the Bernie Summerfield range. If you want to get into it, the early ones are really, really the best, right? When it's set in the Braxitel collection. Anyway, and the second best, I think, is this range here, where she joins up with this alternate third Doctor, played by the late great David Warner, and apparently they ended up as a couple of after doing this. So he always plays it as a kind of hung over Hartnell, and I like his take on it. And this must be the last time we're hearing him, right? I was very disappointed with his appearance in what was that one? Once and Future. I thought that was a weaker story, and I do get the feeling this was written to be all about him, but he probably passed away after making this, and he didn't do the second one, so they maybe turned it to War Master. Although they said not though. They said in the making of it was always a War Master thing, right? And it was intended to be it's a three-part story. So what I very much enjoyed about this, right? I really, really enjoyed about it. It's told in a very non-linear fashion. Essentially, Bernie Summerfield wants to make this great discovery of Dark Gallifrey, right? And when she gets and by getting there is something unleashed, some evil unleashed, but because we're dealing with time issues, everything's out of order, right? They start at the end and then they go towards the beginning, and then they jump around in time. No scene follows chronologically from the other one, right? And I understand that some people will find that very annoying. It's exactly the same with Creatures of Beauty. I found it a riveting and genuinely interesting listen. I said I was cleaning the floor, and I was like hooked for the whole thing, right? I so rarely get that from a Big Finish release nowadays. I was because there's such great character work in it. There's this point where this thing called the Abomination, which is the baddie in it, right? Not that you really see it that much, but it's showing Bernice all these different things. They're showing them all the different deaths of Ace, right? And she had this wonderful monologue about Ace. It was they mentioned Greta Thunberg. I'm like, oh, fuck off, right? Can you just not do it? But if that's the height of the wokeness, I mean, for goodness sake, who is it? James Gosmate? Greta Thunberg is a very awkward, mentally ill young lady, right? Who talks shit, and if we did what she said, we'd all die, right? Other than that, she's great. Don't get me wrong. But that was the only bit of wokeness in it, from my impression. But instead, you got like just great character moment after great character moment. David Warner's performance is excellent. But again, absolutely no War Master in it whatsoever. If you're going in expecting a War Master, you're not going to get one, right? You're not going to get one. He turns up in the next one, but probably at the end would be my guess. But also in the next one, they got what's his name from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Spike from Buffy was also in Torchwood, playing Captain John Hart. So let's see what they say. Many have sought the legendary Dark Gallifrey over the millennia, but most have been lucky enough to fail. There's another really interesting how you got the David Warner Doctor manipulating manipulating Bernie Summerfield to go to this Dark Gallifrey place, even though he knows it's a terrible idea. In very much the same way that Patrick Townsend Doctor manipulated the logic people to open the Tomb of the Cybermen. I thought that was really, really excellent. There is another who has his eyes on the glittering prize, however. One who knows such power could be one in such power. The Master himself. Well, he hasn't shown up yet. Intrigued by rumors of hidden Gallifrey, the Dark Gallifrey of Time World myth, Bernie Summers resolves to find it. And again, that's about halfway through it. At the end, they're running from it, right? But I thought it was excellent. But as the Doctor points out, some things should never be found, and some doors should never be opened, especially ones that want to be open. Yes, exactly. So again, you might hate it, right? I get it. It's completely not non-linear. I can understand that being very frustrating and annoying. I found that very interesting and engaging, right? I like that a lot. So Derek Jacobi turns up in the next part with what's his name? Spike. What's his name? James Masters. All right, and I'm intrigued to see where the story's going. So an interesting tidbit about it, though, is they said that this was actually a coda meant to go at the end of Dark Gallifrey, rather than the second release in it. which I found very interesting. Again, I like the non-linear nature of the storytelling. I think it's really, really exciting and interesting. So look, for me, it's a recommend. Much better covers than the Morbius. The Morbius covers were like shockingly bad, right? Shockingly bad. And then you get Jonathan Carley as the War Doctor turns up in the last part. I'm okay. Look, I'm intrigued to see how they're going to bring in Derek Jacobi. I'm going to try and work out if he really was supposed to be if David Warner was supposed to be the lead in it, or not, right? I should be able to work it out. I don't know. But for me, I found this a real recommend, right? Very interesting, very, very engaging. And look, I should download this because I didn't get Operation Werewolf. But there's honestly, that story is the one that also, and it just never really appealed to me. But there's a lot good coming out this month. Torchwood Soho. I mean, look, I'm not really into. I dropped the Torchwood range years and years ago, but I like that they're taking it in a completely different direction that's almost totally unrelated to Torchwood right now. More Second Doctor adventures. Going to see a Raven. So I got inside word that they're doing two Second Doctor releases a year now. So is that Second Doctor release also? Is that Death World? Because that's also coming out. And this is the Mara. It does look like the Mara, right? And then there's Goth Opera. Again, Torchwood. I don't know. I don't. But I'm not really into it. But there's so look, that's a solid month for me with Big Finish. And also, do you need to listen to the whole set, or can I jump in at David Warner? You can jump in at the David Warner story. Fine. Now you totally derailed me. Okay, you totally derailed me. Yeah. Wait. We'll have to do a bit of David Warner at Big Finish. And I think this is a very fair derailment, quite frankly. So look, we'll do arranged by oldest first. Always the way to go. Yeah, so Unbound, 381. Dude, this is worth 381. Okay, it is really worth 381. This is actually quite a good Bernie Summerfield story. 631 as well. Circular times, but I'm not sure what character he plays, but it's where he plays Mycroft Holmes. That's excellent. I really like that one. I didn't know he's in Empathy Games. So then they brought him back as a Doctor again over in Master of War. This is 381. This is a 2-box. This is a 2-disc set. The other one's a 1-disc. Dark Shadows, don't really listen to. Graceless, Scarifiers, blah, blah, blah. Let's go. When did he come back as a Doctor? It was a while, right? He played a villain to the 4th Doctor for quite some time. Where are they? Oh, fine. Was this the first one, or was this the... I think this was the first one. Hang on. Right. So this one it also had Mark Gatiss as a master. Okay, so the one beforehand was 7th Doctor and Sutekh. Completely forgettable, sadly, right? Completely. So this one kind of sets up $31. Ridiculous. No, I can't recommend that. I mean, it's basically like Bernie Summerfield gets caught in a parallel universe with the David Warner Doctor, and this is them kind of escaping that universe. Again, 31.86 it's ridiculous, right? But it's not worth that. I'll be frank. And they're not bad stories at all. And again, what I like about it, it's feminine, because the Bernie Summerfield range in general is feminine. And by the way, I do like how they got the Mark Gatiss is used. This is a anagram of Sam Kisgart. So both of those are pretty good, but they get better as they go along, right? This was again, these feel like standard Bernie Summerfield stories, which I hadn't heard for about 10, 15 years. They kind of like went off in a meandering direction. And again, him being the companion really does work, right? Really does work. So this was, again, it's a very cerebral, quiet story that ends up, don't think it's all set on Gallifrey, ends up on Gallifrey. And essentially, he's put on trial for existing because he's from a different universe. And I think my favorite one, right, is, what's this one? No, not this. Is this one. I really love this one. Again, for 38, will you piss off? No way. There's no way it's ridiculous. But what I love about this Blood and Steel, it's set in 1930s Germany, with the march to the Third Reich, the Nazis, and it's a Sidemen story and how the Sidemen ethos really reflect that. So yeah, but it's ridiculous. I'm not in good conscience. Can I? If you want a David Warner story, may I recommend this is the one to go for, right? If you don't mind the non-linear storytelling, if you don't like non-linear storytelling, you will hate it. But if you don't mind non-linear storytelling, it's I thought it was pretty darn good, right? My name's Tzvi Lebetkin, the Rabbi from another planet. Please like, share, and subscribe, and ring that little bell. Ring the little bell so you're notified when new videos drop.